So now we're going to be going over the 5 steps of conversation, what they are exactly, why they're so important, and how we utilize them to our advantage. Before we start, guys, I want you to understand that, especially in sales, it's just understanding how to win a conversation. So once you can truly break it down 1 through 5 and be able to utilize them to connect and close, you'll find that sales is pretty easy. Marketing is pretty easy in terms of that connection piece. So number 1, we have the introduction, and you have about 3 to 5 seconds to really get their attention. And why is this so important? Because you're making a first impression, and that's the lasting impression. Nobody forgets the first impression. And how are we going to do this? By utilizing C factors, which basically just means smile, keep eye contact, and stay enthusiastic. Just look at the difference. When I approach you, hey, quick question. Or are you going to be more inclined to engage with me, interact with me? Hey, quick question. How are you? It's so much more likable. It's so much more gravitating in terms of positivity. And we're looking for these positive, impulsive people. So 2, we have the short story, and that's just where you're going to explain and why are we doing this? To provide context about the product or service we're trying to push. And how are we going to do this? By utilizing kiss, not kill. And that simply means keep it short and simple, not keep it long and lengthy. And I can't tell you guys how many sales I've actually lost where I've already built an amazing connection. They love what I'm selling, the product or service. And because I over-explain and I keep trying to relay a message to them, I lose them. You got to remember, people they got their own schedules daily. So you got only a certain window to make these closes and make these sales. So keep that in mind. Number 3, we have the presentation. What is that? It's when you're presenting the problem and filling in the blanks with why the product or service you're trying to sell is going to solve that. Why? Because you're demonstrating and you're creating a sense of ownership. You want them to own it. You want them to really feel the problem, okay? And how are we going to do that? By allowing them to experience it, okay? Once they understand this is real, they're going to understand and it's going to resonate, and that close becomes that much quicker. And speaking of close, we have number 4, the close. This is the guide to get them to say yes or no. Yes, I said yes or no. Remember, no's are just as important because the faster you get through your no's, that means the closer you are to getting to that yes. And so this is just about time management. And why is this so important? Because ABC, always be closing. You want them to commit, and you really want to do this. How? By creating that yes train and building that momentum. The more people say yes, the more they're going to be inclined to say yes to your offer. And so once you get them to say yes, this is the best part, the consolidation, number 5. You're going to reinforce their decision to say yes, buying into your product or service. And you got to understand, you want to do this because clients have other needs. They have multiple needs. They have multiple obligations and responsibilities. So now, by getting them to, when you close them, you just entitled them to a new responsibility. You want them to feel good about it as they're walking off and not think twice, right? So how are you going to do this? By saying thank you at least 3 times. Why? Because this is going to build that lasting relationship, and that it's going to help reassure them that their decision that they just made, whether they go home and think about it to themselves or take it to their loved ones, you want them to be proud and really just appreciate that opportunity to even get to buy into your product or service. Again, guys, the 5 steps of conversation is extremely important because to make a close, to make that sale, you need to understand how to win a conversation. Again, once you truly understand the 5 steps, the introduction, the short story, the presentation, the close, and the consolidation, you're going to learn how to properly present and connect. The last thing I want to say, the most important 2 of the 5 are the introduction and the consolidation. You want to get that great first impression with the amount of time that you have, and you want them leaving feeling happier than when you found them. It's that simple, guys. Let's get it.